evening and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and since we have already survived the new moon in Cancer, I would like to talk about the upcoming lunation, which is surprisingly enough in Capricorn. Not in Capricorn, it's actually in Aquarius. So Aquarius full moon. At the very moment we have the ascendant ruled by the moon and the ascendant ruled by Venus and the midheaven ruled by the moon, Mercury day, Sol hour, with Sun in the 10th house, except for Chiron is the most angular planet. So very strong Sun right now. I want to talk about the clickbait for a second, because why did I choose this clickbait? Aquarius, before even looking at the chart, Aquarius is Saturn ruled. I ran into this as a part of synchronicities I have with Magnum Opus, and this is actually the video above, not below, but above, is actually a mistake. It was not the Magnum Opus, it was Morals and something like that. But it's basically a lecture, series of lectures that were given to Freemasons. And Freemasons is what, as far as I know, they were coming out of Rosicrucianism. So there was a secret society that involved various religions. I think today they still require to be monotheist, but they also involve the pantheism. From what I listened, they also involve the some pantheism, or the pantheon of Greece, and it's very fascinating. But also those ideas that were given in secret to societies for many reasons. Okay, these people were also chased for their practices and for being secretive and for being a threat to pretty much all religion, although they were religious. And though are considered like secretly free men that founded countries, that affected academia, if not some of them founded some academic institutions, that affect our national policies, that affect our healthcare system, that affect our fiscal system, okay? The buildings, the architecture, the environments in which we live, okay, which affect us a lot. And how important it is to have the environment fit into our needs. And so it's very important to educate ourselves with what are the ideas that were governing the people that are governing the entire society, the entire population of the earth. And so the decision makers. So we need to understand, what are they thinking? Why are they thinking the way that they're thinking? And understand what from that do we want and what from that do we want to change. And so Aquarius is the Saturn outside the structure. And I picked this kind of clickbait just thinking about that placement of Aquarius, a lunation in Aquarius. There's something interesting where we had a new moon in Cancer, but the full moon is actually in Aquarius, which surprised me. You would expect it to be in Capricorn, and that's unusual for lunations. So let's go to the astro calendar. We're gonna go already to August, and to the full moon. So we have 3 lunations this August, which is, I'm not going to go into the August thingy yet, but we have 3 lunations. The full moon in Aquarius, 9 degrees, on August 1st, August 16, the new moon in Leo, and August 31, the full moon in Pisces. You're probably conjunct, I don't know if it is conjunct Saturn, but we'll see. The full moon in Aquarius, this is the topic of this episode. So 9 degrees Aquarius, full moon. Moon is opposing the sun. Okay, it's a culmination. Moon is at its fullest, and that means something is coming to fruition. As always is the case with the full moons, we are talking 6 months back to the new moon in Aquarius, and we're talking a year back to the full moon in Aquarius. Okay, so a year back, half a year back, and of course 2 weeks, which is since the new moon in Cancer. Another thing that you might want to keep when lunations happen, and this is perhaps either more advanced or more petty, you will choose, and this is when were the nodes in Aquarius and in Leo. Okay? Because those themes are continuing on the low to replay themselves out with the lunations, and it's, you want to think about this as the structure of a fuga. Okay, what is the structure of a fuga? The structure of a fuga, let's say, let's take a linear structure. Okay, you have one beat, say. Okay, and that lasts. Then, let's say 4 beats into that beat, and then you have another beat coming in. So it's 4. Okay, and then in 4 beats into that beat, another one coming in. And then the first beat eventually will cease and begin again. That's what we have. This is the music of the planets. And on the low, okay, if you think about it like music, on the low, we have the nodes playing in Aquarius and Leo still in the background, but every once in a while the interval is like there's a planet crosses there, a lunation, okay, a full lunation, and they have these notes that they spark, they play these notes, they trigger these notes, so something can come that is from another plot, from another time, and that can enrich our understanding of what happens during lunations. Pluto is very much squaring the nodes. It's 28 degrees retrograde in Capricorn, the nodes 28 degrees in Libra and Aries respectively. So this is both the culmination from when Pluto was squaring the nodes from the 29th degree, when the nodes was just shifting and we had the lunation. But also, while the lunation does not square the nodes are the nodes of the moon. Every planet has a node. Okay, these are the nodes of the moon. We are still, if I'm not mistaken, within the conjunction of the Saturn and Pluto nodes. Okay, which is considered tremendously transformative, slowly and diligently, taking, I don't remember how long, it's a couple of 100 years. So that is kind of this heavyweight atmosphere that we're still in, but within it we have lighter phases and so on and so forth. For the moon, the nodes basically are what triggers the eclipses. Okay, and I myself need to refresh the whole eclipses thingy and nodes thingy, allocate time to that. But on a very basic level, what you need to know about them is that when we have a lunation, although it's not an eclipse, and something square the nodes, there's going to be some fated activity again. So this fated culmination, not by merit of the full moon itself, but also by merit of the involvement of the nodes of the moon with an outer planet. Okay, any planet squaring the nodes would be significant here. Venus retrograde is also squaring the nodes. Okay, separating from opposition to Pluto. But outer planet, it means that it's not just between people, but it's also the spirit of the times. Okay, there's some phase in humanity, this mini phase in humanity, that is playing a part here. Okay, if you think about a couple of heavy keys kind of playing a part, is da 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 da, and that's pretty much the signification of what's happening here musically. Not only that, Jupiter is not exactly in a T-square. Okay? It squares the moon and the sun, but it's not exactly in a T-square. Okay, I didn't give you the rulership of the hour and the day. We're going to skip that. And so this culmination has to do with something Jupiterian, something to do with philosophy, with religion, or with, on a more personal level, with spousal relations, children, and that which is co-creating the children, which is semen. The square relations is usually solved in Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. What Mars is doing, Mars is in 13 degrees Virgo, trining this Jupiter. So we have a resolution. Okay, we have a resolution for some religious conflict between the solar and the lunar. So it can be between men and women even between men and women. It's very optimistic here. Because the resolution of a T-square is just in the opposite pole, which is Scorpio, is ruled by a planet, Mars, that trines Jupiter. Now, what is Mars and Jupiter? Mars is our drive, our action, our, think about the penis and the semen, right? If Mars is in harmony with Jupiter, sextile, trine, semi-sextile, semi-trine, then it means that our beliefs and our acting upon them is good. Okay, think about Jupiter as the seed or the semen, and Mars as the penis. Okay, if you have a good seed and you rape somebody, which just can be by hard aspect, you're not doing good. Jupiter is the instinct to do good. Okay, you're sinning to your seed. But if you're in good relations, like you have a good seed and you're making love, now you're fertile. Okay, now it's a different relation. You have a good intent and you act upon it, and your action is in alignment and in harmony with your good intent. Now the significations are you're probably gonna get good implications. You're probably gonna get a very good impact on yourself and the world around you. And so this culmination, although coming with this fated conflict, brings a certain resolution that can come from people who have both the Martian and the Venusian nature aligned, because Jupiter here is in Venus sign. Okay, so they can have good intent around women, actually, when you think about this. And with Mars in Virgo, it can be the act of speech, because Mercury is ruling Virgo. The difficulty here is that Mercury, that is the ruler of Mars, is opposing Saturn. And so the action is good, but the narration of the action comes with delay. There is difficulty to say the words. Um, there is enduring communication, but the words and the structures are not in alignment, or some structures try to block certain communication of a certain positive action that happened, actually in favor of bridging the gaps between the lunar and the solar, the womb and the left eye and the right eye. Okay, the womb and the solar plexus, the intelligence, intellect, and the intuition. um, there's an action, there's an active species, that action that was made here has brought a certain solution, but the words don't come easy to narrate this solution, because both Virgo and Pisces are to do with healthcare. It can be the case that there are certain actions that are taken in favor of patients, men and women and children, but are not narrated. Okay, there's this conflict about what words to use and the terminology. Because Mercury opposing Saturn can be a problem with the terminology. It's like Saturn requires for a different terminology that Mercury is bringing in, and that can create, if it's like a press release, then delay in a press release, delay in news. And Mercury will retrograde in Virgo, so it will be grappling with the words for and the communication and the application for some time. So while it's a full moon, it's not the end of it. And because Mercury is so, opposed by Saturn, either the terminology is of the old, okay, some old terminology is being used, but the action is good. You know what? Try to, if you think about healthcare and the stuff that hurt people, okay, somebody decides to give you, somebody comes up with a really good and validating treatment for people who had trauma and hurt people because of it. And so somebody is your psychiatrist is very excited to know that there is a new treatment to your psychopathy. Okay? So they're very excited to tell you that, but they tell you you're a psychopath. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that's like, oh, we found a great treatment, we found great this, we found great that, but they call you a psychopath. Okay, because that's the DSM word for it. But the action is actually in favor, and then that can create a clash. That can create desiring not to accept this. Don't call me like that. Blah blah blah. But there can also be a bit of it can also be, because Mars here is in alignment with Jupiter, it can also be, okay, they can call me whatever, I see that what they offer me is good, I'll take it. Okay, because Mars is about the action. Okay, I'll take it, I'll do it, I'll take it. But the narration, the communication is not there. It can also be like a conflict is solved, but you don't talk about this. Okay, you solve the conflict, but you don't talk about this. In the background, Aries, do we already have the fixed stars? Yes, we do. We're supposed to have them. Excellent. So, these fixed stars. Well, let me see the fixed stars first. There is Deneb here, not Deneb Algedi, Deneb, which I don't know enough about. And there is Acel Price, which I don't know anything about, which conjuncts this lunation, so I need to learn about more fixed stars. And Almach next to Jupiter. So there's a lot more to say about this. Fomalhaut is very close to Saturn. Fomalhaut is about this sort of psychic knowledge that is beyond words. okay? And there's this psychic wisdom here. Saturn retrograde from out. It can also be to do with managing reputation, managing sort of karma, past decisions about reputation, managing how we are perceived by uh, prestigious people in the healthcare system. So this can be psychiatric community, this can be shamans, this can also be rabbis and priests. Okay, so there's this managed Saturn retrograde. It's kind of like we're going over how are we being perceived by all these people. And I think the lunar mention here is a lunar mention of to do with healing. Okay, so we are rethinking, and we are also rethinking how we communicate with tradition. I can share with you that as a part of my activism as holistic health practitioner in favor of mental health, I did turn to one of our rabbinical representations and explained in a very simple language that is embedded with Judaism, what needs to change in my eyes, and give that a chance. So such action can bring fruition. Oh, and I did it right now with the new moon. So such action can bring fruition, some reconsidering of how do we treat people, and because it's prestigious people in healthcare, and that can be doctors, psychiatrists, and the combination of those. So if you're wondering what did I write about the beta blockers being given to people with mental crisis instead of housing and food that they need while they can't like work at, you don't want them at work right now unless they're really that what helps them, to heart conditions, people who have had heart ailment or heart attack, and to people who are recovering from chemotherapy. And the problem is there is a blessing actually in Judaism that is about our holes, and let the holes in the body be always open, because if only one hole is shut, okay, let's see, you have constipation, then the person is lost. And I said, even if the greatest tzaddik, if the greatest faithful person prays that prayer, if they take these beta blockers, the muscles, the involuntary muscles contraction do not contract. And so this blessing, it's like it was not been said. And this is the way I would address a person whose education is religious on this topic and on what's happening and how we are being treated, so that they will represent us and they will tend to this through their stream. Okay? Such action can bring fruition. Now, for me, Aquarius is the 12th house, so connecting mental health to hospitals and stuff like this is something that I could give contribution. Wherever Aquarius is for you, it can be the case that you did something but different. So we saw the fixed stars, which I definitely have a lot to learn about. And now let's go with the asteroids. And yes. So we have quite some, okay? The moon is applying to conjunct Chariklo, and Chariklo, I've learned about her from Astro Victor. She's basically, I think, the sister of Chiron, or the wife of Chiron. And if Chiron is tending to the physical ailments and how to treat them, Chariklo is not physical, but she brings a certain healing of feminine, if you like, that is honoring our divinity and connected also to music. With Aquarius, Chariklo and Aquarius, my prediction is understanding the nervous system, the music of the nervous system, the connection of how art maybe can change the neural structures that we have, the necessity to change the neural structures that we have, and how that supports our well-being, And so if you think about non-dual reality, that also is related to that in this way. Moon will be applied to Chariklo. So we also have Hygeia 19 degrees Aquarius, and we have Eros there. Aries, okay, still squares Pluto, still conjuncting the nodes, okay, still trining Venus retrograde, okay, still rocking still Aries, okay, Aries is still Aries, and the entire Geschäft happens with Pluto and Venus squaring Aries. So, with Pluto squares Aries, but Venus trining Aries. How come? Oh, Venus is sextiling and trining the nodes, Pluto is squaring them. I need to see this. What's going on here? Because Venus is absolutely trining Lilith, it's two fire signs. Yes, it's true. What I said is true. Okay. Venus is sextiling and trining the nodes, while Pluto is squaring because Venus is in conjuncting 150 degrees from Pluto. So Aries will still play a part in this lunation, and that's a big event that can bring discord into that stuff, which that which is Venusian will be way more acceptive than that which is not, because Mars, the ruler of Aries, does not see Aries, but Venus does. Venus retrograde. And so there's this discord goddess that throws some, pebbles into the water, and they have these round circles. The effect that is created, hopefully it's pebbles into the water, it's not A-bombs into an ocean or something. A-bombs into an ocean we have some time before that. So we have some 20 years, hopefully, before that. So Venus is way more accepting, way more understanding. She gets along, she gets Aries, she gets what this discord goddess wants to say, and she joins forces with her. Okay, Venus is applying to trine Aries by the merit of Venus being retrograde. So, all in all, women's situation here is not this terrible. Women find a way to express themselves, to bond with those who create discord, as well as, for example, women and cisgender women and trans women are good friends in this lunation. Another thing is that Mars is basically bridging the discord of the full moon, of the sun and the moon. Okay, so there's an action. So both the linear energy, okay, and the connection, okay, the penetrative action, go energy, and the let's make a connection here is working in tandem with each other. Although Mars does not see Venus, Mars is the resolution of the T-square with Jupiter, and it trines Jupiter, which is ruled by Venus, and Venus trines Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So there is like an indirect connection here. They seem like they don't connect, but not only do they connect, they work in tandem. It's a great moment for what we call masculine, feminine, penis, vagina, mama and papa, to kind of find a way to bridge. It's kind of like we're bridging that, but we're not talking about this. And it's all in all very intricate, but not necessarily negative. Okay, we have a lot of resolutions that we did not have in the past. Okay? There is a square here between Lilith and Uranus, and to some degree, Venus and Uranus. And Uranus, we must not forget, is on the 22nd degree. Lilith is also on the 22nd degree. Nicolas Stojanovic mentions the 22nd degree as the degree of to kill or be killed. So we must not, dip our head in the sand, our heads in the sand, because there is still going to be reactionary. There is still going to be a revolution. This Lilith is about this gut feeling. Okay, she was the first partner of Adam, and she wanted to live as equal with Adam, and Adam was not. He wanted to be a dom, but she was not a sub, nor was she a dom. It's like, I don't want to live, above or beneath you. I want to live beside you, but there was no place for her. So some stories says she ran away, or that she was casted away. And what eventually happened is that she either kidnapped children or hurt children, it's like depending on the myth, and lived beside heaven. And Lilith is basically someone who won't be subdued, but is actually not difficult to live with, because she's looking to be with, not above, not beyond. Okay, she's not a domineering energy per se, depending, how she's situated in astrology, but she just won't be subdued. Okay? In Leo, it's her shine and her vulnerability. Okay, you don't play with her heart, but if you respect her and live beside her, she will very much shine her light on you. On the 22nd degree, mistreating Lilith can result in death. It can also be death of Lilith types women, or performance around death and murder. Okay, it can be a show, it can be even when you have demonstrations, okay, like with Uranus, it can be certain demonstrations. Unfortunately, some people can die, but there can also be shows around murder imageries. For example, I remember not long ago where I was present in a demonstration. It was environmental, okay, and there were white sheets on the grass. It is funny because I have a difficulty to stand. They told me, you need to hold this sign. And I said, I found a sign that I'm okay with, and I held it. And I was tired, so I let somebody hold it, and I just was lying under the sheets. But then you had the blue and the greens. So the greens, the red and the green. So the greens, this like holding something. It is not very dangerous. And then there were the people who were part of the show, of the performance, and those were the reds. And they had to have a number of a lawyer, which I did not have. So I'm lying down, and I said, okay, I'll cover myself with this white sheet as though I'm dead. So I was playing dead. I was just lying down on the grass, and suddenly I hear clap to the arrested people. I got out of there. I just whooshed right out of there. There was a park in front. It was next to the fiscal building in the parliament in Jerusalem. So I just got to the park. I stayed there for a while, and later I came back. Unfortunately, I was not arrested. I had no lawyer number. I had nothing. But that was my funny story. And so we can have these stories where the show in a demonstration is around images of dead bodies, women that are dead or are murdered, or stuff like images like that can be integrated. This is in the best case scenario. That is the Lilith Uranus kind of square, and that's tension. There is the murderousness of demonstration, of revolution, even guerrilla war bombs or something like that. And then there is the murderousness of Lilith that has been mistreated. So, or the murderousness that Lilith evokes by just being. Okay, which is, I will not be subdued. I also don't ask to subdue you. And that's something that she just doesn't play king. Okay, she doesn't play control games. But she does get frustrated. She does get enraged. She does get, desirous as well. All of this happens with Neptune sextiling Pluto. And now instead of going sign by sign, because I can't tell what would it be for you. The entire cardinal axis is triggered again, okay, with the square to the nodes. So cardinals are ascendant, sun, moon, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, and Cancer. You're going to feel this thing, as well as the fixed axis. Okay, the T-square here is with Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius, which also means Scorpio. Okay? Of course, you're going to feel this too. Where's Mars? In Virgo. Now we got Pisces too. And that will, of course, inflict on Jupiter, that's the ruler of Sagittarius, and Mercury, that's the ruler of Gemini. So you're all impacted. And because of the intricacy and the many connections between the planets, anything I'll tell you right now, there's just so many ways in which that can come into fruition. What I can say on a general level, the terminology might not fit the care. We may be more flexible with our terminology. We may use more traditional terminology, even derived from religion, in order to address these Saturnian limitations. We may address core issues or hidden issues to do with the structures of our healthcare systems, okay, Saturn Pisces, healthcare, or welfare systems. And we may address those inner structures. Okay? I opened this with the clickbait on texts to do with Freemasons. So getting ourselves educated towards this will bring fruits, will bring understanding. These are these people, this is how they think, this is my point of contribution, this is how I can speak to them in a language they understand that meets the desire to do good in a way that can be acted upon. So that is another thing. Plus, there can be an exposure around certain types of conflicts, certain types of things to do with who is ruling the people. Okay? And here it's not patriarchy per se as the ruler of Capricorn. It is more secret groups of people, okay, decentralized secret groups that also have hierarchy within them. And so it's not the how to delineate Freemasons is very difficult because it's not just Capricorn per se. Here's something way more decentralized around this. It's a society. Yes, there is hierarchy within the society, but this is also true to the anarchy, the supposed anarchy of Aquarius that becomes tyrannical, or that bears the danger to become tyrannical. It's the anti-structure that is very structural in itself. Now I want to, instead of trying to do the sign by sign, I actually do want to go to the fixed stars and see what are the important fixed stars here. So we have one next to the sun. We have one next to the nodes, which is Mirak. Mirak is next to the nodes, but from Taurus. We have Fomalhaut, which I talked about. Yeah, and we have this Almach. So and I'm going to do research live with me on Almach. So Almach fixed star. Almach, fixed star. This is by Okay, there's in detail. In detail is by mystical prophet. So, in detail, we have here the constellation. This shows us where is this Almach. I'm looking for. We have Merkab and Almach here in the middle. For those. So, as a binary star system, Almach consists of two stars that circle each other every 60 years. Okay, every 60 years. They circle each other. The secondary star is a yellow-white subgiant, whereas the primary star is a giant blue-white star. In astrology, the general influence of Almach indicates that the native has good luck. Okay, this is next to Jupiter, so it's even more good luck. Is successful, is subject to acclaim as well as unanticipated advancements, is patient, hardworking, and superb at romance and domestic matters. So very potent energy that is right next to Jupiter. So this Jupiter is extra good at this degree. Almach is typically the most effective with positive nativities. So magnitude 2.26 or 1 degree 30. Constellation Andromeda, zodiacal sign Taurus, and the color blue, so tropical Taurus. Read the fixed stars from these authors. So we have recommendation of Joseph E. Rieger about fixed stars, and some references. Vivian Robson, Elspeth Albertine, and George Noonan, okay, about the fixed stars. Now let's go directly right now to conjuncting Jupiter. This is a very detailed, I really like this site, Mystical Prophet. Very detailed. Great cookbook, okay? Now let's do the conjunction to Jupiter, which is what we have. So here it's a full moon next to this lunation, and Jupiter, or the people who are of Jupiterian quality, have a lot for them, and people tend to gravitate towards them. So they can, while in this T-square, they can be the type of person who is not wholly listening to mommy and not wholly listening to daddy, but has a lot to say and have people gravitating towards them, and eventually action will be taken in alignment with their ideas. Okay, so this is a very good culmination. It's a very good culmination where while you might not start something, it's definitely good for coming into a closure that is positive. So this is Almach, and we had another one here. I think yes, which is Assel or Price Assel. Price Assel. Assel, Price Assel. So do Price Assel. Fixed star. And this is not Algol. The Manger. Algol is Algol. So we had 7 Leo with an orb of 1. So Cancer constellation, M44, the Beehive cluster. And this is by Astrology King. Nature of Mars and the Moon. Cause, disease, disgrace, adventure, insolence, wantonness, brutality. blindness, industry, order, and fecundity, and makes its natives fortunate through liable to loss through others and the founders of large businesses. The manager threatens mischief and blindness and is said to cause disease and disgrace. Of course, disease to the eyes, the way you see the world, perhaps is not the most, clear-sighted. Um, but Jupiter comes to rescue, okay? It means that the solar figures here, the sun is ruled by Leo, so the solar figures here, the sun here, is not so blessed by displacement. If the nebula is not visible in the clear sky, it presages a violent storm. So there can be also weather issues around this time. Most classical astrology. Okay, so you need to see if it's visible or not visible in the sky during the lunation. And it was bad omen, okay? And so, because Asali are so near, this is a couple of stars, okay? A total of 5 to 8 degrees in Leo are hit by it. So this means they have a very wide range relative to fixed stars. The astral influence of these far distant world is equivalent to combination of Moon-Mars emanation, as also acting as a Neptunian influence, so there is blurriness of sight, both in Prasepe and in the Asali. According to Wello, the Chinese gave this group of stars the name the spirit of the ancestors. The fixed star increases considerably for the attraction and sensuality indicated by Pluto Venus. Okay, so they're very magnetic, but they don't see the world too well, and it can give eye disease and loss through others, okay, by means of others. So there's 75 of them with a distance of 520 light years from us. Is easily seen on a good light, a faint misty patch about the size of the Pleiades. The name means a stable or a pen for animals, and it may be considered a stable for the Asali. The 3 stars, Prasepe and Asali, lie within 1 degree, 29 minutes overall, so that astrologically we must really take them as a single unit in their combined qualities. 3 parts Mars, 2 of the Sun, and 1 of the Moon. Okay, the only good thing is that they adjoin Mars, Sun, and Moon. Okay, they adjoin the energies. Persepi then adds the lunar ingredient, which can define as providing home or a base for which the Asali operate, giving mundane effectiveness to the more remotely celestial qualities of the donkeys. So busy atmosphere of the beehive, but also with lunar qualities. They can be moody, unpredictable, and this is also true to the Astelis and Cancer. People with the 3 of these strong stars in their horoscope are favorably aspect do show capacity for cooperation with others. The secret of much of their success in life symbolized by the Bot regime as a beehive and a stable that is a home for the donkeys. Now, what I learned about the beehive, when the queen bee has done laying eggs, basically the entire group of bees circle around her and start slaughtering her, so that there will be another queen bee. She will not threaten anybody, and that's her end. She's been laying eggs all her life. Everybody's been building, home for her. But as she stops laying eggs, she's just being slaughtered. So if we think about the beehive and this analogy and this constellation, it's kind of like, yeah, you can be very cooperative, you can be very successful, but unfortunately there's also loss, disease, blurriness of sight. connected with this. So if you think about the types of trusts or types of societies that are cooperating within themselves but are not really doing good for the world, that can be denoted by this, and there can be an exposure around this that might not be communicated. Fixed stars, rules below the right eye in the human body. So the right eye is the sun, I think, because sidereally it's the moon. I cannot. So yeah, constellation Cancer, the crab presages thunderstorms, famine, okay, and locusts. What is locusts? Pardon me. Oh, okay. So yeah, we may have those things. Okay, locusts are the many like fly-like bugs that eat everything in your field. It's one of the 10 Egyptians. I think it was 10. Yeah, 10 Egyptian. I don't know how to translate it. That in Egypt, when they wanted to release the Jews, then they sent every time something different, and one of them was locusts, basically eating all the crops. So famine is a hunger. Okay, this is a real danger. Yeah. The stars in the eye, according to Ptolemy, have a nature similar to that of Mercury and Mars. Those in the claws of Saturn and Mercury, the nebula of Mars and Moon, and the asses to that of Mars and the Sun. So conjunction, okay, this is, let's go to the Sun because this is what we're looking for here. This is Moon, ascendant Moon. Now we're looking for the Sun. What? But I'm looking for the Sun. Let's see if there is a Sun, Saturn, Mercury, Moon. Sun. Okay. Evil disposition, murderer or murdered, blows, stabs, serious accidents, shooting, shipwreck, execution, banishment, imprisonment, sharp disease, fever, hemorrhage, lawsuit, danger of death from fire, iron or stones, injuries to the face, wounds, bad eyes, and if in an angle, blindness. Okay, so those are for natives with this. Benito Mussolini had Mercury and the Sun conjunct this, and also Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Benito Mussolini definitely had a lot of success with cooperation, but the thing was that he had kind of a, in retrospective, a blurry vision about, the world. So we had some nice study with me live together with this. Anything more that I see here? Almach we talked about. Well, let's do Mirak if we are already here, right? So let's do Mirak. Star. Fixed star. And let's speak constellation of words. Let's try another site. So you can also get introduced to various resources. A constellation of words. Learn about the world above us, the world of the star above us. Mirak. So it's in Andromeda. It has this longitude, declination, right ascension, spectral class, and the history of the star. So we know about it from 1889. We have pictures from 1889 at least. Beta, Andromeda, Beta B. Mirak is yellow star in the girdle of the chained woman. This Andromeda constellation. Allen says it is now on the left hip. It was described as Alphonsine tables in 1521 as supermirat, from which it has been derived its present title. Okay, in Arabic, mizar, girdle or waistcloth. And yeah, some have termed it cingulum, ventrale, for belly or belt, and so left hip. And so some later Arabian astronomy marked it at the right side of Andromeda, and it was known as al-Janb al-Musalsala, the side of the chained woman. And we have, okay, it was marked as al-Batan al-Hud, the belly of the fish, or the heart of the fish. In this location, al-Risha, the band, cord, ribbon, or thread, as being the line uniting the fishes. But this title now belongs to Alpha Piscium, which is al-Risha. And so we have in Chinese moon mentioned Gowei, or Kuwei, the man striding, or the striding legs, anciently Quet. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Along with Upsilon, Phi, and Chi, Pisces, it has the Egyptian Coptic lunar station Kuton thread, another name which was Arit, in asterism in indigenous Egypt. It was a fortunate star, portending renown and good luck in matrimony. It's the first time I see good luck in matrimony. So, good for marriage. We have the lunar mention itself, and the 26th lunar mention increases harvests and merchandise, help traveler through danger, strengthens prisons, and causes marital happiness and loss of treasure. Okay, this is pretty much the only place where a couple can stay happy, married. It's the only lunar mention, by the way. But they will have loss of possessions. The astrological influences of the constellation Andromeda. Maiden in distress. So the original damsel in distress, the daughter of Cophius, the king of Ethiopia, with his wife Cassiopeia. Andromeda was more beautiful than the sea nymphs and the Nereids, who were the daughters of Poseidon, Neptune. The Nereids complained to Poseidon, who sent a sea monster, Cetus, to ravage at coast, with his kingdom in grave danger. Cophius consulted the oracle of Ammon in the Libya for advice. He learned the only way to save his kingdom was to sacrifice his daughter Andromeda to the sea monster. So she's chained to a rock and left to the mercy of the monster. The hero Perseus, riding through the air or winged sandals, arrives at the scene and they fall in love. So this is the original damsel in distress story. It's like your only way as a woman to be happily married is if somebody saves you from such a fate. You have to be more beautiful than all of the sea nymphs, and still you have to be saved by someone. So, but first you have to be more beautiful than anyone. So, Perseus had a quick consultation with Cepheus and Cassiopeia, and it agreed that if he rescued their daughter, he could marry her. The sea monster arrives, and Perseus kills it by turning it to stone with the Medusa head. Okay, so he uses Algol's head as a talisman. Perseus breaks the chains that bound Andromeda to the rock and frees her. The wedding follows. So from one chains to another. And this story where a woman can only be freed if she marries a man. Is she loving him? Is she not? So I was beginning to read The Prisoner from Tehran, It was a real story about a woman who was imprisoned in the 1979 Iran, and then the person who imprisoned her, the investigator, he fell in love with her, and so she had to marry him in order to leave. And then he was assassinated, and then she was free. But that was the story. Okay, she was imprisoned, and then she had to marry a man that she did not like, like, okay, and was forced to change her religion externally. So that was the story, and this is the closest we have for success in marriage. This is as optimistic as it got. Is considered to the Kabbalistic Tarot as the stars, the card of the stars. So that was Andromeda, and this is the lunation in Aquarius. As you can see, when we take a closer look at the fixed stars, what seems to be quite optimistic, there is also some intricacy, some difficulties, and even some ailments and storms that can be a part of this play. I will go to tend to my nose, and thank you for watching.